Hey, what's going on, people? Back at you again with another morality moment. This morning's morality moment, I think I'm going to entitle it See Reality as It Is. What I wrote this morning was see things for what they are, not how or what we want them to be. Things and people are not what we wish them to be or what they seem to be. They are what they are. The people whom you care about and the things on which you depend have their own character apart from what you think of them. The acceptance of reality is the basis for honesty and effective action. Oftentimes we look at things and for whatever reason we be in a state of delusion or illusion, you know, to the people and things and circumstances in our life. But some of us need to come back to reality. Come back to reality. Because again, defining reality is the true situation that exists, the real situation. Oftentimes I think people live somewhere between fairy tale and fantasy, or can I say it like reality and fantasy? A lot of times we live in that gray area that really doesn't exist. It's how we want things to be, but instead of us paying attention to the reality, prime example, Black Friday, a lot of people out here shopping, you know, they want to have nice things and get people in their lives, their loved ones, things that are nice. But the reality is, some of those people that's out there spending that money really can't afford it. So the situation is, instead of spending all of that money, on those extravagant gifts, you should be taking care of some responsibility. But again, to each his own. I'm not knocking, people spending their money however they want to spend it. But us as black people, let's look at the reality. We don't own no grocery stores in our community. We don't own no gas stations. We barely own barbershops and hair salons and nail salons anymore. We don't own any major utilities in our community. We don't own nothing in our community. Barely own the houses we live in. So the reality is we need to do a checkup from the neck up. We running out here spending all this money on with these corporations that really don't care too much about us, because you think about all of the businesses in our community. Imagine if you open a business in their community, I would guarantee you that they wouldn't patronize your service or your business. I don't care how reasonable price your service is or the product. They wouldn't support it. But we're quick to run and patronize every other nationality other than our own. We need to come together as a whole collectively. The reality is, if we want things to change, it's a way for us to do it, but I don't think, we ready for that. We quick to want to depend on legislation. But again, that's just a piece of paper. Yeah, they'll pass a law to appease us, to pacify us for a season or a period of time. But eventually that piece of paper gets old. But here's the reality. Black people spend over $1 trillion in this economy. Just imagine what we could do if we took that $1 trillion out of their system and developed our own system and did business amongst each other. They would have to pay attention. The reality is, they would wake up and be like, wait a minute, they doing something different. We got to see what's going on here. And then they'll pay attention. They'll come to their senses like, oh, they do matter. Black lives do matter. Matter of fact, not even black lives. If we take away our black money, then they'll really start valuing the black life. That's just my opinion. So the reality is, really, that was a little rant, but the reality is about seeing things for how they are. Sometimes we will look for the best in everybody, which we ought to do. But the reality is, sometimes people are just who they are. You know, and people, as I've said in times past, people wear masks. You know, and it depends on who they with and where they at determines the mask that they wear at that particular time. So reality is, somebody that you're dealing with or interacting with, that might not really be them. They might just be being something, you know, for that particular situation or circumstance. You know, and again, as I said, people are who they are, not who we want them to be, because they have their own character. They their own people. The things we depend on, they are what they are because they have their own character aside of what we believe them to be. You know, we have to stop getting caught up in these soap operas and all the stuff we see on TV, because the reality is, don't nobody, you know, sit around all day, every day, work for 15 minutes, and then they land in the bed with their significant other or somebody else's husband or wife for the rest of the day, or they jet setting off, you know, somewhere for lunch and coming back for them. Yeah, those things happen, but for the reality is, it don't happen for everybody. It's a few select individuals that have that ability. The reality is, see your situation for what it is, be honest about the situation, and then you could operate effectively within that situation. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this morning's morality moment. Peace, and I'm out.